So it's our first like Shabbat like this on the patio in a very long time, actually. And I just want to say an advance thank you to Jennifer Sauer, who's having a hug. Because these things only happen, literally, these things only happen now when Jennifer says yes and is willing to come and set us up and get us online and make the sound work. So everybody say thank you to Jen and the weather gods. And if you think it would be cool to have the power of Jennifer Sauer and learn how to plug all of the microphones in and make the magic of the live control work, which she assures us is very learnable.
Yeah, she is.
And we would love your help because, you know, Jennifer is just one superhero human, but it would be cool if she didn't have to be the only superhero human, right? So we'll teach you. And by the we, I'm using a royal we, and I really mean Jen. But we'll support your being taught, is what I really mean to say. Okay, so do you have a book? If you don't have a book, you need a book. You do have books, good.
Where are the books?
We are using bracketed pages. And we are doing, you know, like familiar things that Rabbi Steiner can play on the guitar that we think you will want to sing along with. That's the set list tonight. We're in the middle of 648. Shiru Adonai Kol Haaretz Shiru Adonai Shir Chadash Shiru Adonai Kol Haaretz Shiru Shiru Sing unto God on the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God over all, sing along all the earth a new song unto God. Shiru Adonai Kol Haaretz Shiru Adonai Shir Chadash. From the Secret to the Sublime, perhaps, there's bug spray out there, back there, which is mine, and I'd be happy to share it with you if you feel like you're getting bitten up. Jennifer has it. You can pass it around. It says Ezra Steiner on it. It's from camp. So we're going back to the model of the way we used to do summer outdoor services, which is that we're going to do candles and kiddush and motzi inside when we're done, in part because it'll be a little darker, and mostly because maybe the wind won't blow the candles out, right? That's the logistically difficult thing about trying to light candles out here. So it feels weird to jump right to Lecha Dodi, but that's what we're going to do. We're on bracketed pages 138 and 139. And since we're not doing Kiddush this early in our evening, you have lots of time to think about what blessing you want to share with us. I already went over this and I didn't change my kippah. Marina will not like me. I was a step too low. Lecha Dodi Likras. Lecha Dodi Likras. Yalalai, 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 yalalai. B'nei Shabbat Nekabelah. Lecha Dodi Likras. Yalalai, yalalai, yalalai. B'nei Shabbat Nekabelah. Shamor v'zachor v'tibor echad. Shabbat, Nekavela, Likrat Shabbat, Lechuren Elcha, Ki Lekol HaBeracha, Lerosh Mikedem, Lesucha, Sof Ma'aseh V'machshava Tila, Shabbat, Nekavela, Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Yalalai, 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 Shabbat, Nekavela, verse 5. Hitoreri, Hitoreri, Kivoreh Kuli Ori. Shabbat, Mekabela, Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Yalalai, 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 Shabbat, Mekabela. We rise in body or in spirit, and we face anywhere where you might look or call or feel an entrance to Shabbat, right? So it might be the door you walk through, or it might be this beautiful wooded area in front of you. This point is about making space around us for the Shabbat bride. Oi v'shalom ateret bala, gam v'simcha u'v'tzola. So as you are, we remain. So however it is that you are standing, in body or in spirit, we stay. We are on bracketed page 146. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, 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 yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai la lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam v'ed. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravim. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Page 154, please be seated. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך.
Oh, wow.
ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם מאוד על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך. אתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. מי כמוך האלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, מי כמוך האלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, אדוני ימלוך לעולם. מלכותך ובניך, ורגי הים לפני
ייחד אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
Before we sing the Chatima, the last lines of the Hashkivenu, which is our prayer for safety and shelter, the note that went out to the congregation this morning offered you one way. There are many that you can give to help this disaster in Hawaii. I think we often feel the poignancy of the language of our liturgy most when the things we take for granted are threatened, right? So, just to make it personal, Sandy and David Cohen, who recently moved to the Berkshires, but before that were longtime members of Barnard, their kids are fine. But 2 of their 3 kids live in Maui, in Hawaii. And in emails, over the last couple of days, we've learned that luckily their lives, their homes are okay, but many of their friends' homes are not okay, right? Really just gone. Their livelihoods, their lives, their homes, their everything. So if you feel so moved to make a donation to an organization, it doesn't have to be through Federation, although that support will go to people who need it. But this moment of ritual and the connection to ethical mitzvot, right? That's sort of the interplay of Jewish living, is these offerings of prayer that remind us, and in the context of our liturgy, not to take for granted something like shelter, safety, right? And then the way that hopefully that ultimately inspires us after Shabbat to act, to do in the world. That's the ritual and the ethical, sort of the way they keep us moving back and forth. So as we sing these words, the Hebrew in either place on 161, I just invite you to think about your shelters, right? The physical shelters that maybe keep us safe from rain or storms and unpredictable weather, particularly this year, even here. We know what that feels like. And the shelters that we build around us through our friends and our family and our communities, and then how we can extend those, that kind of Sukkot Shalom in the language of our liturgy, this Sukkah of peace, this structure of wholeness, in whatever way it is, to those who need it, whatever that means.
Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukkot shalom. Shalom aleinu el kol amo Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukkot shalom. Shalom aleinu el kol amo Yisrael. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukkot shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael.
While I was at camp earlier this summer, there was so much amazing music during tefillah that mostly only works at camp, because you need 300 children and really enthusiastic, another 100 and something teenagers and young adults doing body movements with music that I only wish we would feel so comfortable doing during Tefillah. And I mean that like with full open-hearted sincerity. If I could just pick you all up and put you at camp for 2 weeks a year, it would change the way you understand what it means to live Jewishly. I believe that. So I'm not going to make you do all the stuff we did there. I'm not going to teach all of it to you, but they are doing this particular setting for the first opening line of the Amidah, which is on 164. But it's quite simple, and it mimics a lot of the melodies that we do with words and lies, or nanas in this case. So I'm going to teach you tonight. You're going to learn a new setting that we could do. We could do this. And you can imagine tonight at a lot of our URJ camps, it's the final Shabbat of the summer in the Northeast, right? Green Lake, where our kids were, and Bob is somewhere else, but and Gabe and Livy and Jake are at Eisner, and this is like what they're doing. They're singing these melodies for their last Shabbat together at camp. Ezra has started calling our house vacation and camp home. Would like to know when he's going to be able to return home, which is very sweet. What? 10 for 2. Except usually like 11 for 1. But okay. So the words are there, but also there's a lot of nanas, and like I'm not really sure I'm singing the nanas right either from the way they did it at camp. So don't worry about where your nanas are. The point is just to sing. It's a really pretty melody, and you'll pick it up quickly, I promise, because it's not hard. Ready? You see it's repeating. That's the whole thing. We're going to sing it a couple of times. You're going to like mess it up. That's cool. But everyone's going to mess it up, and no one's going to know if you're the one messing it up or not, okay? So we're going to sing it a few times before I ask you to rise, and by then, you're going to know it. Ready? And also, if you don't sing, I'll just keep playing it. So you have to sing, okay? Good, do it again. Alright, now look at the English there. It says, Adonai, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. So I think it's like not a coincidence that a lot of these moments where we're asking for help and support to offer prayer also have sounds like nanas and la-las in them. We don't always know what to say or if it's the right thing or if we even want to try. So we're going to rise in whatever way we rise. We're going to do that whole thing 2 more times. And you don't need the words because you know the words. Just see what it feels like to offer these familiar words with a newer melody and how it might allow you to see how it feels to offer the rest of the Amidah, which comes next, which you know well, how it opens up what's possible for you there.
תפתח, עננה ופי יגיד, ופי יגיד תהילתך, ופי יגיד תהילתך. ברוך אתה אדוני Eloheinu ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק, אלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל, אלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, רומם חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לפני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומשיח מגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה, אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, בחיי הכל אתה, רב והושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו בשני עפר, מי כמוך בגבורות, ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלע, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
We continue privately through pages 180 and 181. You may do so standing or seated, as is your custom. On the bottom of bracketed page 647, if you would like the words.
Ozi וזמריה לי ישועה עוזי וזמריה לי ישועה
Okay, I'm going to send these little half sheets around. Just like be near someone who has it. It's not that we're spending the whole time here, but this is the text I want to study with you. Okay? Okay, this is the part of the night where I really hate being stuck at a microphone, but I'm gonna do it and try to be still so my microphone picks me up. So our Torah portion this week is called Re'eh, and we are, making our way through to the middle of the book of Deuteronomy, which is terrific for the Jews in the Torah, and also for us because we are getting closer and closer to a new year. Actually, this is our last Shabbat, I think, before Elul begins, which means we're really getting close. So it's getting to be the time of year where we are invited, I'll say that is a nice way of putting it, to figure out how we've done this year and how we maybe haven't, hit all the marks we were hoping to hit, and sort of doing that kind of prep work for the high holidays so that when we arrive at Rosh Hashanah and especially Yom Kippur, we're not just sort of awakening to the potential and possibility of what could be. So just for large picture context, the book of Deuteronomy, many of you have heard me say this, but I'll remind you, is a collection of like a number of different long sermons, basically, that Moses is giving. The people have gotten almost all the way. They're standing on the shore, they're looking over at Israel, the Jordan, right over across the river. And Moses is not going to Israel, right? Moses is going to die before the people cross. And Deuteronomy is, like the name of the book, a second telling, a retelling of a lot of, some of the big stuff that's already happened and been taught. Some of it is a little different the second time around, which we have also talked about, how we remember differently or retell differently and our lessons change. And all of it, I would say, is stuff Moses wants the people not to forget. Right? Like he's not going to be there. They're going to be starting a new life in a new place, the place they've been heading to. The whole point of this journey is about to be. And, it's like a large scale version of all the things I tried to cram into my children's heads before they went to camp, right? Where are your extra shoes? And what do you do if this happens, right? It's like that, but more important. And without camp people to help. So we're going to study just a few verses of the text today and sort of see what we glean from this. I divided our verses into two sections. You'll see why when we get there. So actually, somebody could come read. You could read right here at this microphone. And then you don't have to listen to me read. Aren't you sick of listening to me talk? Somebody like to read? It's all English. All right, I don't know who you are. Who are you? Nope, I know who you are, Lane. She's got a yellow bow on. What's your name? I can't hear. What's her name? Lila. Come here. You have to come to the microphone. Yeah, see? You show all the grown-ups how brave you are. Marina will help you. Oh, actually, look at this perfectly heighted microphone for Lila. It's like we knew you were going to come read tonight, Lila. This is Lila. It's not going to pick her up? Okay, it's not working. I thought Jen fixed it. Okay. Okay, Lila, go to this microphone. We got you. Okay.
Wait, what part do I read?
Okay. Read. Just start right there. There, Shelby. Just pick up right there. You read till you're done.
There shall be no need among you, since the Lord your God will bless you in the land that the Lord your God is giving you as a hereditary portion. If only you heed the Lord your God and take care to keep all this instruction that I enjoin upon you this day. For the Lord your God will bless you as he has promised to. You will extend loans to many nations, but require none yourself. You will dominate many nations, but they will not dominate you.
Amazing. Okay, so those verses that Lila just read so beautifully, what do they say in your own words? Paraphrase. Okay, so one piece of it definitely is as long as you follow God's commandments, you'll have it made. Great. So say more, and yes, that we're going to build on what Jill said. Like specifically, what does it mean you'll have it made? You won't have any needs. There won't be any needy. Okay, so we read that word a lot. And the condition is that if we get to that place if we follow the commandments. It seems kind of simple, right? If X, then Y, right? Check. All right. So, now, let me stop there. Imagine that world. Imagine we stopped there. And you get to Israel, or wherever your world is. I mean, they're going to Israel, and there is no needy. There are no needy among us. What does that look like or feel like? Jill said, you have it made, right? That's another way of sort of describing it. But just like, I mean, if you could put aside reality for a moment, because I think this is aspirational, right? So what is that world, Jen?
What's interesting to me is that if we take care of everyone, then we will dominate many nations, but they will dominate you. We will extend loans. Like, if we take care of everyone, we'll be able to take care of everyone. Then we can loan other nations help, whatever that means, and we can, and we will be safe, and sounds like we'll be at peace. Like, it sounds awesome if we just don't leave anyone behind.
Okay, so there is some element here of that is clear about not leaving people behind, right? Which has responsibility with it, which is implicit in a lot of the commandments, right? If we are inclusive and we take care of people, then we will find ourselves living in a place or a time or a community or whatever with no needy. Okay? I'll just note here that like among you is probably something that another time we could spend time talking about, because implicit in us dominating other nations is a question of what that means, right? That's not really what I want to talk about tonight, but I want to call it out in the text. And maybe it's an idea of sort of power that is not, that is just. Maybe it's a just kind of power. Maybe it is not the kind of power we think about when we think about dominating people, like in a sort of global socio-political world. And it requires, Jen, what you're saying, right? That we really do it thoughtfully and justly. Cheryl and then Aviva.
But I also think they're talking about dominating other worlds. They're specifically talking about idol worshippers and not to, go after false gods.
Right, so there's often an implicit, Cheryl says that they're talking about idol worshippers, right? There's some implicit sort of sense of who the other is, right, and who we are, and us not going after false gods. Sure, Aviva?
That we're role models.
Great. For sure, role model is part of it, and especially it's part of our calling from the beginning, right, to be a light unto the nations. What does that mean? Is a question and a commandment for us. Okay, good. So we have these are consecutive verses you'll see. So verses 4 through 6 say, you got this. You're going to follow the commandments. When you get there, there are going to be no needy. You can create this world. Okay. Who else would like to read? You don't have to come to the mic, but I think you should, because Lila showed you that it's not that scary. Okay. Come on, grown-ups. I'm not calling on your children, Rebecca. Oh, I'm happy to share with you. How about there? Oh. Thank you.
If, however, there is a needy person among you, one of your kinsmen in any of your settlements in the land that the Eternal your God is giving you, do not harden your heart and shut your hand against your needy kinsman. 8. Rather, you must open your hand and lend him sufficient for whatever he needs. 9. Beware lest you harbor the base Beware lest you harbor the base thought. The 7th year, the year of remission, is approaching, so that you are mean to your needy kinsman and give him nothing. He will cry out to the Eternal against you, and you will incur guilt. 10. Give to him readily and have no regrets when you do so, for in return, the Eternal, your God, will bless you in all your efforts and in all your undertakings. 11. For there will never cease to be needy ones in your land, which is why I command you, open your hand to the poor and needy kinsmen in your land.
Thank you. Okay, now hang on a second. First we read these few verses that said there's going to be no needy. And then what happens in the verses we just read? All of a sudden there are a lot of needy people, right? Actually, it specifically says, for there will never cease to be needy ones in your land, which comes only a few verses after the verses we read before where it said, there shall be no needy among you. So what's happening here? How do we understand these two verses? What do you think? I mean, I have an answer, but I'd love to know what your answers are. And you could try out an answer. You don't have to be sure your answer is right. You never have to be sure your answer is right. Claire.
Well, there's a condition in the first paragraph that says you'll be if you follow my commandments.
Great. I'll repeat what Claire says, and I promise.
Because God knows that we're not.
Okay, so Claire said the first paragraph, which by the way, that is an artificial paragraph break that I made for the purposes of our study today. So the first piece definitely has a conditional element in it, right? Like, if you follow the commandments, then there will be no needy, right? The second section that I made a paragraph doesn't exactly have that conditional behavior with it. So what does this imply maybe about what Moses thinks is likely of the people? So one of the sort of standard readings of this is like the first few verses are aspirational and the second few verses are realistic, right? Moses is not totally sure the people are totally going to get this right, and therefore there will always be needy among us. How does that answer sit with you? So Alan said maybe there's a distinction between like us and others, right? Maybe the we who will have no needy are like the Jews or the Hebrews or the Israelites, whatever you're calling them when we get to Israel. And maybe the people where there will be needy are the other nations around us. It's possible. It's just that, I like your answer, but the text does say in your land. It's true. It could be. It could be that we're talking about not us and other people in this reading. Yes, I think that's a fair read of the text. Janet? Yeah. Yeah, kinsman does mean like family. They're us. Yeah. Yeah, Cheryl.
Well, I think there's a possibility that there are multiple sources of text here. You know, each source.
Right, so there is like a documentary hypothesis explanation. We could go and look at the original sources of the text, right? If we know that the historical read of the Torah is that there were 4 main groups of authors that wrote the Torah, and they got stitched together by like one of them. And sometimes the redundancies or the inconsistencies can be explained linguistically and stylistically by seeing where the original text came from. And actually, if you're interested, there are a number of books about this, but I have one that particularly offers a translation of the whole Torah color-coded by the different authors, so you can see sort of how they fit together. The most obvious example, just to explain that, which is not this Torah portion, is there's actually 2 different creation stories in the beginning of Genesis, right? There's the 7 days of creation, on the first day God created, the second day, and then there's Adam and Eve. Those are 2 totally different stories that we tell as if they're one, but they are 2 completely different origin stories for how we got here and what that looks like. And the language for God is different in them. What's happening over here, Jamie? She's excited. And so, that one of the ways we understand that is that there were 2 stories, 2 original stories that were maintained by our people in some way, and then ultimately they got put together. Okay, we digress. Let's go back to the needy. Okay, so one, perhaps, I actually don't know, Cheryl, without looking at the text, if that would explain this, but it could. Yeah, could be. Jamie and then Jane.
So it's Deuteronomy, it's telling
Yes?
If you're thinking about retelling, and you just brought up Adam and Eve, humans are naturally flawed. So he knows that humans are naturally flawed. He knows that this utopia that they are about to enter is not going to stay utopia. That humans are going to go in and they're going to
Mess it up.
mess it up
Yeah.
somehow. And he's telling them what to do when that happens.
Okay, so Jamie said, knowing, like we do from Adam and Eve, that we are not perfect rule followers, or maybe we are, depends on what the purpose of that Adam and Eve situation was, but that's a different conversation. Moses is anticipating that the people are going to have trouble following the rules, and therefore, this is like when you mess it up, here's what to do, right? Like, in case of a problem, here's how to solve it. Okay, so what's the problem we're going to solve, and how are we going to solve the problem? What does the text say? If you go back and look at that text. Big picture. Take care of them, right? How does it say that? Open your hands. Right? Okay. With a full heart. Okay. So I want to suggest that one way, in addition to all the ways you offered, that we might read this piece of Deuteronomy, is that we might be talking about different kinds of need. And maybe that's part of the redundancy, right? Maybe the first kind of need is financial need, is stuff. It's like the way we support ourselves, right? And maybe the second kind of need are the non-tangible needs. Maybe it's true that if we follow the commandments, the people around us will be taken care of, right? That there's logic to that, because there's a lot built into at least the system that when it came to be, that would take care of the land, that would make it possible for people who are hungry to get food they needed in a way that was respectful of who they were and where they were. There's a lot of good stuff, not perfect stuff, but there's a lot of good stuff there. Maybe verses 7 through 11 are about the other ways that we have needs that are not financial or food. They're about our souls, or like the way we interact with each other. And maybe this idea of opening up our hands and our hearts is a way for us to look at ourselves and other people around us and to notice what needs are there and how we are able to see that, and also how we are obligated to try to help address that. How we live in community, and therefore part of the responsibility is to make sure that we are caring for all of the ways that we have needs in community. So, what I love about this sort of confusing part of the text, especially this is the last Shabbat of the month of Av, and we're heading into Elul, which is the month where we prepare, as I said, for the high holidays. And this is a nice sort of pivot for us, a nice sort of gentle pivot to sort of think about ourselves in relationship to other people, in relationship to how we give and how we show up for people, how we are generous or not generous with our time or with our money or with our skills or whatever it is, right? This is like the beginning of sort of getting us ready to do the kind of soul check that this time of year is for. What we know about our responsibility from all of these verses is that we do carry an obligation to care for the people around us, right? That there is cause, that there is an outcome for our behavior, whether that's people's ability to feed their families somehow related to commandments. I think for us today that's perhaps a stretch if we were to take it too literally, but we certainly might see that when we don't care for systems or the ground or other people in a way that they need it, that then therefore the whole interconnected web of relationships breaks down, including how we or others can take care of our families, right? So we could see this as the invitation to start examining relationships and to think about how we show up for people and how you're allowed to do that the other way too. How do other people show up for you, right? Who are the people who open up their hands and their hearts? And if you were to get ready to give yourself an honest accounting of how you do that in the world with strangers and around you with your kinsfolk, right? How would you rate yourself? How would you grade yourself? And I don't offer it in that language to offer harshness, but to think about how we want to grow in the coming year, right? These are two different ways that we're invited to show up. So who are the needy around us? How are we caring for them? How do we respond when emergencies happen, right? The fires in Maui are a terrible, but, tactical, a concrete example of that. And how readily do we give with no regret, which is what this text is talking about? How readily do we show up and give of ourselves to the people who are most important in our lives? If that's what that last part is about how we show up without baggage, without expectation of return, right? Which is what's implied in that counting of the sabbatical years and how much is going to have to be repaid. That we just give. And how do you want to start noticing how you could perhaps grow into a sort of more generous space for you, if that is something that you feel that you may be lacking? I also want to note that this implies a two-way relationship, right? And you may notice as you do this work that there are people who you show up for, but who really don't show up for you. And you don't have to be a doormat, right? That's the point of this, is relationship. The point of this is the way we show up for each other with open hearts and without this idea of like guilt or regret or baggage hanging around us. So just to notice this Shabbat as we head into the month of Elul, how your relationships stack up in this accounting and how you want to either say thank you or start to make small changes to the way that you live in the new year that is going to be here sooner than we can believe it. So we offer a prayer now for those of our loved ones who are in need of a prayer of healing on page 371. As always, in the middle of the page, you'll have the opportunity to share the names of anybody you are praying for. This is not working at all. I don't know if that's done. It's like a phantom mic. You to just call out from your seats the names of anybody who you are praying for their healing of body or of mind or of spirit tonight.
We also think of these individuals: Trisha Anstey, Ann Baker, Layla Balestra, Debbie Becker, Marty Berglass, Susie Bernardo, Suzanne Broder, Meryl Burley, Eileen Shagsmith, Andrew Citron, Lois Collin, Selwyn Cooperman, Orit David, Alan Demsby, Shub DeRosa, Hugh Dugan, Gail Eisen, Diane Fox, Phil Good, Susan Goodstead-Levin, Jill Gordon-Layton, Linda Gottlieb, Melissa Griegel, Jason Hadashin, Hannah Bat-Meir-Vahana, Gary Harrison, Lois Ann Horowitz, Judith Jason, Shmuel Yitzhak, Dr. Alan Cantor, James Kaufman, Risa Kaufman, Barry Kessler, David Klein, Rabbi Michael Kuskin, Thelma Lieber, Larry Levine, Beverly Lewis, Eugene Lipkowitz, Mo Liss, Abby McTaggart, Juliana Merlucci, Mikey Norman, Andrea Pakin, Hugh Pollock, Ava Rasmussen, Randy Ringler, Hope Rothenberg, Irene Rudizowicz, Jan Schaffler, Mandy Schwartz, Joanne Siegel, Adam Sifri, Beth Silverman, Bob Sonnenklar, Jessica Spellman, Joseph Steck, Erica Summers, Aaron Wayne, Joyce Weinberg and Stephen Weinberg, Teddy Wall, and Michael Wolf. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
The middle of page 586, please rise.
Aleinu leshabeach ladon hako, lateked laleotzer breshit, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, velo samanu kimishpichot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, vegor aleinu kefo hamonam, ve'anachnu korim lishacharim modim, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
The middle of 591, please be seated.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Page 598. And we remember with love our loved ones who have died in recent days or whose yahrzeit fall this Shabbat or around this time of year. This week we remember Florence Seder Aronov, Joanne Baker, Esther Berkovici, Franklin Clare, David Cohen, Nance Hayward Geller, Louis Goldberg, Benjamin Holland, Betty H. Horowitz, Yefim Kuashansky, Bessie Wood Clenart, Sylvia Levine, Erwin Lieberman, Abraham J. Maskowitz, Joseph Metzger, Florence Miller, Herman Manat, David Nalvin and Max Nalvin, Edward Ossofsky, Miriam Perlman, Frank Pelsiger, Gussie Palatinsky, Stephen Rappaport, Yetta Sauer, Jack Schleifman, Bernard A. Schwartz, Esther Wattenberg Siegel, Mace Singer, Leonard Summer, and William Stern. During this period of Shloshim, we remember Eric Mannheimer and Rima Demby. If there are others you are remembering this Shabbat and I didn't share their name and you would like to, I invite you to do so now. So if you are observing a yahrzeit on this Shabbat or are in one of these first periods of mourning, I invite you first to rise. Zichronam livracha, may the memories of our beloveds become blessings as we weave their legacies into the way that we live. And we rise together as one community on page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divrach chirutei ve'amlich malchutei, b'chai echon u'v'yom echon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lamei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushvechata v'nechemata da'amiran v'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all people everywhere. We say together, amen. So I'm going to just make a couple of quick announcements, and then we're going to go inside with your books. If you wouldn't mind, when we go, don't leave yet, putting them on the cart, and we're going to do candles and Kiddush and Motzi right inside. So our summer services continue 7 o'clock. If you want to have a potluck with us on Labor Day weekend, because that's the first Friday of the month, I'm game, so we'll get back to you about that. Next Shabbat, the wonderful Janet Fink will be teaching Torah, so you should definitely make sure you are here or tune in for that. It will be excellent Torah, I am quite sure. You'll be getting an email soon about the final Atrium Shabbat of the summer on August 19th, which is happening offsite. So once you RSVP, we'll tell you where it is, because it's at someone's home. And it's an awesome experience. Chani Geter is leading it while Rabbi Scheffler is on maternity leave. So it's great. You should come. You are getting lots of emails from us, I hope soon, about always, but particularly about the high holidays. So read them. Thank you. If you want tickets, there's a form for that. If you want a challah, there's a form for that. If you have a question, there's an answer for that. We're happy to answer them too, but really, please read your emails. Thank you. And yes, Book of Remembrance especially, I'll make a specific note. This year we're doing it a little bit differently, so you actually have to opt in as opposed to opting out to the Book of Remembrance. Even if you want it to be exactly as it always was, you still have to click through and say, yes, please, keep it that way. That's how we know that you really want your family remembered in the book. So please do that. Okay, I think those are all the things I wanted to say about this cool thing. So we're gonna go inside and we're gonna light candles and we're gonna sing Oseh Shalom while we go. And you can get your blessings ready to share when we get there.
You look so pretty with your hair like that.
Okay, I had a birthday this week. You guys Or if you had a birthday today, all of the birthday, let's just say, if you birthed a child this day, 14 years ago, that counts. However you want to try to birthday. And their sister. This is a blessing. I got my niece for my birthday. And she got her niece for her birthday.
It was my younger daughter's 25th birthday on Wednesday, and it's my birthday on Tuesday, and she surprised me by coming home from Boston to celebrate both of them together.
Okay, birthday celebrations together. I like that. Good. Well, we don't know her that well yet, but
That's it.
love birthdays. Everybody here already knows that.
She was my
Alex, Rabbi Steiner doesn't have everybody's birthdays. That's good. Cheryl got Matthew, because Cheryl always gets to get Matthew at the craziest time of day. You know what Uber is, right? Just want to say, that's an option. That's an option. Okay. Liz is also an option. Aviva.
It's a little weird.
That's beautiful. Is that where it all? We could have benched Gomel, right? There's a blessing you say when you survive something scary or dangerous and make it out okay. So good. That's not weird at all. Claire.
I broke a bone in my foot.
I was noticing that you have a cane. Claire broke a bone. She's got a cane. Wearing it very
It's the
well.
left foot, so I can still drive.
And it's the left foot. So
Yes.
she's that is a blessing. Yeah. Glad you're okay. Yeah. What else?
A couple of days about a week ago, a relative of mine got very, very sick. He was taken to the hospital.
Yeah.
Very serious.
It was this relative.
And now,
His
a
father.
couple of days, he's back and he's doing great.
Good. Glad to meet you. Alan, we're glad you're here with us and doing better. Good. Jean.
My son closed on his condo, so that's gone.
Okay.
They picked a venue for their wedding. They close on their house that they just bought next Friday, and the following week, my soon-to-be daughter-in-law is closing on her condo and will be out.
Amazing.
Wow,
You
that's
know what's nice? Here I don't have to repeat everything. Okay. What else? We've got a lot of time to think. The whole service. Ceremony. And that can help. And it's in Brooklyn. And that's amazing. And also you're here, and that's awesome. Both of you. It is very special. Matthew gets to wake up every day and teach the kids things. That's amazing. Also, are you making your oh my goodness. Anything else? No? Well, maybe you'll tell somebody over a cookie something you try telling them over your plate. I know this is not everybody's cup of tea. Or a preach. Thanks. You're all right.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.